whole thing is ready to come out. All right, there we go. So this is what you call engine harness going to the firewall. This is going inside the ECU. Alright guys, there we go. Part 2 of this Mazda Rx7. We got the engine out. Look at that big hole under the hood. Wow. That's a lot of room in here. That's why a lot of people putting V8 on this thing. But anyways, part 2 right there. There's the engine on the floor. We'll do a walk around on this. I'm going to show you what's been connected, what's been disconnected. So previous owner, or before him, I'm the third owner on this. They did emission delete on this EGR, all those extra solenoid in here. They all took that off because this thing is supposed to be a sequential turbo on this, but now it's all parallel turbo. Both turbos spin at the same speed at the same time, so there's no solenoid, no vacuum lines. There's a little bit, but not much. You know, so we're just gonna do a quick walk around here. So if anybody is doing this setup, you could do this. You could use this video as a guide. And same thing with me when I try to put the engine back together. I could use this video as a guide of where this hoses goes in and all that stuff. Here's my oil pump right there. To pump oil into this hose and squirt to the inside of the rotor housing. So starting from the front. All right, so you see that 2 connector right there. Those are the crank sensors, 2 connector. Those 2 connector connect to this harness right here. The white and black right there. This is on the top. This is on the bottom. Top and bottom right there. And this big fat connector right here with the 2 wire loom around it. That runs to here. This is for the oil pump. It pumps oil and injects to the injector into the housing of the rotor to lube up the apex. Okay, so those are the 2 connector and one big one. There's 1 single wire right here with 1 connector that connects to this other harness right there. Connects together like that. And then see how this one is capped out, taped up. I don't need that. There's 1 down here. 1 single wire connector. It's pretty big for a 1 single wire. That one connects to this harness, to this wire right here. That looks like a NOx sensor. Okay, connects to there. 1 little connector going to the big fat one right there. So that's done on this side. The connector right here going to the power steering pump. 1 wire. I'm gonna disconnect that. There we go. That's your power steering pump sensor. And this ignition harness right here. So your coil that connects to this harness right there and this connector. It goes together like that. This is capped out, cover up. Down here, this is your oil level sensors for your engine oil right there. Single wire, white connector connects right there. So that's covered everything up on this side. 1 connector right there runs to the, looks like coolant sensor probably. 1 wire, 1 coolant sensor runs right there. So that covers up the front and this side. Let's go on this side right here on the passenger. Okay, not much. O2 sensors right there. That connects to right there. Connects right there with 1 wire. Alright, so the green connector is the green connector right there for your fuel. The gray one to your injector rail. Injector rail, the gray one. There's 2 right here in the back of the water pump housing. There's dark green in the round connector. Those 2 right there connect to the front. Same thing on this one wire right here. This is pretty brutal. It's like toothpick, guys. This is gonna break pretty soon. One wire blade connector that connects to this connector right there to your sensor, your coolant, another coolant sensor to the front. Okay, it's all capped out right there. Capped out again. I'm gonna have to cut all this wire with the capped out, so I don't need all this extra wire. Down here, gray connector connect to those two right there, all side by side. That looks like another fuel injector. There's a primary and secondary injector on this, on the fuel. This one right here, you know that this one is for your O2 sensor. I believe this one probably for your intake. Yeah, this is the one for your intake temperature underneath the intake manifold. This is a sensor. Disconnect. This one will be your actuator for your idler actuator. It idles, adjust the idle. And this is your throttle position sensor right here. Connects to the intake manifold, to your throttle body. You can see I cut this one because this is going towards to the transmission. I should have just disconnect all those connectors, but I cut it. I'm gonna put a new wire loom in this thing and then solder the wire by color. It's pretty easy to solder it out. And this one right here, and there's some kind of connector here for your oil pressure spade. Maybe it's this one right there. I think that's the one right here. Connect together with your starter wiring harness right there. I believe that's the oil for these guys right there. Connects right there. I think that's all covered up. So let's start taking all this harness and then clean her up and take out the turbo and everything else. Alright, so let's start taking out this ignition wire here. Big fat harness is stuck in underneath the coil. So we're just gonna disconnect that mounts right there. There's a 10mm bolt, so we'll take those out. And then this whole harness here, disconnect from the top here. Make sure organize when you put them back together, okay? This is on the top, this is on the bottom. And trailing plugs, so on this side and the back. And then the front rotor trailing plugs is on the front right here. Alright, disconnect those. That's good. And this whole thing will come out. Alright, put this on the side. Alright, so there's a ground bolt right here. We're gonna take out this big fat connector. 12 bolts on that one. Look how bad this wire loom is. It's just crispy. Wow, that's just like the Doritos. Crispy Doritos when you take them out. That's why we're gonna replace this whole wire loom together. Oh, everything. It's almost done, guys. It's almost out. It's almost out. We'll take the whole harness right here. There we go. It goes behind, underneath the fuel line right here. Let's start taking out this fuel line so it's easy for us to move this whole harness out. 12mm socket on those 3 bolts. Alright, so it's one sensor wire right here. Disconnect that connector just like that, and this whole thing is ready to come out. Alright, there we go. So this is what you call engine harness going to the firewall. This is going inside the ECU, runs out to your engine. Wow. Alright, we're gonna clean all this up, putting brand new wire loom and tape, make it nice and pretty. and this thing just fell off right here. All right, so another harness right here. This is the fuse block harness. This is going to the front to the battery, and this is going to your starter motor. Okay, so starting from the top, alternator, big fat connector right there, disconnect, and then the 2-wire connector to the alternator is disconnect, and this whole thing will come out. Make sure to disconnect your ground right here to the block right there. Okay, 12mm bolts on that one. So this whole thing right here, this harness will come out. All right, so you can see, wow, this is nasty. This is the fuse block right there going to the battery. So we're gonna be stripping all this old wire loom here. Okay, stripping it down, and some wires probably all like toothpick and they're about to break, so we're gonna be changing those wire. Some of you guys probably thinking of buying a brand new wire, I know, or a new Mazda wire, but my god, they're pretty expensive. They're like almost over $1,000 brand new, and that's a lot of money. Dealing with the Rx7, I know that it's gonna be expensive, but this wire is still good. Like, I can save this wire. Just want to have to make it pretty and everything. Wire loom on this and flocking tape on some of this area, just like the Honda, the 22 Hondas that we did. We fixed a couple wires, so we're gonna do that same thing as this Rx7. All right, let's go back to our engine. So you can see right there, it's getting better and better. It's gonna talk about the ignition wire right here, leading plug and trailing plug for the T. Just a quick sign here on your ignition wire. Leading plug has a straight connector on one end, and then the trailing plug has the 90-degree bend. Same thing with this one right here, 90-degree bend right there. So that's good to know, and I think they're the same size, so taking this out, no problem. I know how to put it back, so let's just quickly do that here. All right, so let's put this on the side. This is the best time to check your spark plug. Make sure it's gap right, and then make sure that it's brand new. So I'll do that next video, checking this out. I'm gonna keep moving on, trimming all this stuff out. Take out the serpentine belt all the way to the turbo.